Hello everybody, my name is Colin and I'm coming to you from Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County. I'm part of the 4-H team here, and today we are going to be taking a look at something called Scratch. Scratch is a free online software. It allows you to learn the basics of coding for purposes such as animation, game design, and even some marketing. So once you've got parent permission, you guys can type in scratch.mit.edu as seen here, and then hit enter, and it'll take you straight to this page where you can click create at the top left. Two additional things to have open are the words of coding page and the bear animation how-to page. These pages will just help you if you get a little lost. But before we get started, I just want to take a second to talk about what coding actually is. Coding is when you have one or more commands or algorithms that are designed to be carried out by a computer. Now that sounds really confusing, especially the word algorithm. An algorithm, though, is really simple. It just means a list of steps to finish a task. So a perfect example of this is actually a PB&J sandwich. If you've made a PB&J sandwich, you know that there's a list of steps that you need to follow to make a PB&J sandwich. You take some bread, you take some peanut butter, you put some jelly on there, and then you get some more bread, and you have a sandwich. And that's kind of what coding is. You know, we have those instructions before we make the sandwich. We know what it's supposed to look like. So coding is getting to that end goal. So let's get started. Today we're going to be animating a bear to make it look like it's walking, give it a background, and set it all up so it has some control features. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go over here to where this little cat is. Right down below you'll see it says Sprite 1. Now a sprite is anything from an image or an object within the Scratch realm. So we're going to go ahead and delete this cat. From here we're going to go down and click the choose a sprite icon, and then we are going to click on animals up here. You'll see that there's a lot of other different animals and sprites that you can choose from, but maybe you could use those in a future project. We're going to go ahead and click here on this bear walking. This one's kind of already pre-packaged for us and everything that we need. So once you've clicked it, you'll notice that it only shows one out of the animation process, which would look very boring if it was just walking like this. So you can see that this one already has some additional costumes. So if you go up to this top left side here, click on costumes, you can see that there's actually different sections of the bear walking. That'll come in handy later. For now, go back to code on the top left, and then we're going to start the animation process. If you look on the left side of your screen, you'll see that there's different colors with different words, such as motions, looks, sounds, events, and more. Each of these in Scratch are called a tab, and these are what we're going to be pulling out from the side to create our code. For right now though, let's get rid of everything else by dragging it back onto this file and only use the move icon, which you can find in the motion section. We're going to be looking for the one that says move 10 steps. Once you find that, go ahead and grab it and drag it out onto this big white empty area. So while we have our sprite selected, you can see our sprites up here in this space, and our tab is right here. So if we go ahead and click this tab, you'll see what actually happens to the bear sprite on the right side. It will move 10 steps. Now steps here are actually positions on the x-axis. So if I were to change this to 0, you'll see that it goes to the center of the x-axis, which is this way. So each of these tiles, when we click on them, coders like to call it a mini event because it's making an event happen. It's causing this bear to move. And you'll see that some of these tiles have blank spots to where people can edit or change them, like this one. I could change this to 50 steps if I wanted. Then when I click on it, you'll see the bear jumps a lot further than he once did. That's called a variable, any information that can change. If we just hit the steps over and over again, the bear would move across the screen on the x-axis. But let's try making it look a little bit more fluid. To do that, we're going to go over to the look section, which is purple on the left side of your screen. From there, we're going to scroll down until we find the tab that says Next Costume. Go ahead and grab it and pull it onto the white blank section of your screen. Now if we click on this, you'll see that it'll flip through the costumes. He won't actually move though. He'll just keep cycling back through all the costumes, and you can start to see how this looks like he would actually be walking, but he's just not going anywhere. So now we want both of these things to happen at the same time. To do this, we're going to take our next costume tab, and we're going to pull it up and attach it to the bottom of our Move 10 Steps tab. Congratulations, you've officially made your first section of code. Click it and see what happens. You'll see that he moves forward, while also changing his costume. So now we need to give it input, so that we don't have to sit here and keep clicking the tab. So to do this, we're going to go to our yellow Events tab here on the left. We're going to be searching here for the when blank key is pressed. Now it should say space. Go ahead and pull that out. And then on the drop-down menu where it says space, look for right arrow key. Go ahead and click that, and then drag that on top of your other two tiles. Now this is my favorite part. So just like in a video game, which I'm sure we've all played, when you click your right arrow key on your keyboard, you'll see that he does all the actions underneath. This is called input. We are inputting into our right arrow key on our keyboard to get the result that we want through our piece of code. Now that we have all three of these tabs put together, it creates a very special piece of code called a function. A function is the same piece of code that you can call on when you want the same thing to happen. Now we need to duplicate this function code. If you want to try to do this on your own, you can pause the video now and make an exact copy of what's here on your screen just right next to it. If you don't want to do that, you can right-click the top section and click Duplicate. Then you can post it right next to it. In our second copy, we're going to be changing a few things. In the drop-down menu right here, we're going to select left arrow, and then on the Move 10 Steps section, we are going to select the 10, and we're going to put -10. Then hit enter. So now what we've done is we've created two separate inputs. When we hit the right arrow key, our bear walks to the right. When we hit the left, our bear walks backwards. It's now the perfect time to add a background to our bear animation. To do this, we're going to go to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and click Choose a Backdrop. Once we're there, we're going to go up to Outdoors. Click on Blue Sky. From here, we're going to pull our bear down to make sure he looks like he's standing on the ground. By golly, you've done it completely on your own. You've created this bear animation completely from scratch. And now, if you click your right arrow keys and left arrow keys, you can see the bear take his morning hike across your screen. You might be asking what you can do next. And the answer to that with coding is, well, anything. If you wanted to make your bear say hello when space is pressed, you can do that. If you wanted to add a sound, you could go to the top left and make or record your own sound. Or you could add both.
Hey!
So now I have a challenge for you guys. See what kind of wacky and inventive things you guys can do with this bear and on his journey. Maybe it's changing the backdrop, adding cool sound effects, or fiddling around with some different keys, just to see what happens. Then, you guys can post that on our 4-H Nassau County Facebook page, with your parents' permission, of course. And parents, if you'd like to know any more information about us at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County and all the programs that we can offer, such as science programs, farm programs, additional coding and animation programs, and more, visit ccenassau.org today.